We're going to be talking about the way of the hero. A lot of times in our life, we see these movies, we see superheroes, we see heroes on TV. You guys all have heroes, people in your life that have stood out to you. And we know it's not the costume, it's not all that kind of stuff. There's something about those heroes that stand out to us because it's the way that they do things, the way that they all, in the face of adversity, they stand up to danger, right? They pull it all together. They suit up in the costume. They go out and they save the day. They get beat down. They get back up for some reason. Some of them are up against all kinds of odds. And your modern day heroes, like some of you maybe it's a police officer, some of you maybe it's fire department, some of you it's a rock star, but whatever it is. Something about different people, the hero aspect of it is that there's something about them that pushes them to the next limit, the next level, to make them something special. And so what that is, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, is something called discipline. And when we think about discipline, we're thinking to ourselves, oh man, discipline is what happens. I get spanked, or I get in trouble, or I get sent to the principal's office, or I get beat down, or but really not that kind of discipline. We're talking about a different kind of discipline. The idea that basically we're keeping ourselves in check on stuff, that there's certain things that we're required to do that we get better at. Just like in that movie, basically we have Iron Man there, and he's going through the process of getting better. He's like tweaking, he's like, oh, I'm going to go this much, I'm going to go this much. And in the beginning of it, when you're watching it, he goes through the whole big process of, keeps getting hosed down with the fire extinguisher and all that kind of thing. So each time we go to a limit of getting better. That's what our disciplines do. And so all this month we're going to be talking about disciplines we can start doing in our life to make us a better person, a hero, if you will, in God's kingdom. Because there's certain things that God's expecting us to do and wants us to do. And you can go on to the next slide, won't you, Casey? That so the Care Bear stare, the most powerful form of weaponry known to mankind. So, how many of you knew that was called the Care Bear stare? Just checking. All right, not the only one. Thank heavens. All right. If you type in Care Bear stare, make sure you have your safety filter on. That's all I'm saying. All right, so listen. You're all going to try now. All right, so listen. The thing of it is God has called us to be a hero or to develop disciplines in our life to make us better than average. Because we talked about what it's like to know Jesus last month. So the question is, if we know Jesus, how can we get to know Him better? How can we live out these things in our life? So that's what we're going to be looking at, spiritual disciplines. So this is a big one for us today. We're going to be talking about the power of joy, the power of contentment. Because most of the time in our life, we're not very joyful people. We're not very content people. How many would say you're content? How many know what content means? How many have ever been full? Like really full? Like sassy, fat, full, lay down on the couch, having a rubby belly and happy side. Okay? Alright. You know what it's like to be content. How many have ever gotten something you just wanted really bad for Christmas? You open it up, you're like, yay! You're happy and joy. At least once in life. How many have ever turned on the TV and you realize all of a sudden it's like a lazy Saturday and your favorite movie's on TV? And you're just like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Last night? What? Oh yeah, or video, sometimes you're watching a football game, your team wins. Or they score an amazing touchdown or a super play, right? Contentment, joy. So that's what we're going to be looking at tonight, the spiritual discipline of contentment, because we are not a content people. Let me tell you a story. Just recently, I got this video game I was very excited about. It was Force Unleashed. I play this game. I was excited about this game. I couldn't wait to play it. It's a Star Wars game. I'm a Star Wars nerd. I was pretty excited about it. I get this game, I start playing through it, and about halfway through it, I'm just like, I'm bored. I don't like this game anymore. Now, this is a game I've been waiting for since last November for all you other dorky people in the world out there. And I was just like, man, all I was wanting was a good game. So I realized, so all I started thinking about was the next game. I was like, well, hopefully they'll come up with a better game, the next game. But I started realizing how uncontent I can be about things. Because here's a brand new game, I haven't even beat the game, haven't even found all the stuff in it, but the discontentment of it was just that all of a sudden it just didn't matter anymore. And we do that all the time. We're not content with things. You'll get something you get some food from the restaurant, all of a sudden it's just not quite as good as the last time. Have you ever had that happen? Taco Bell, right? Yeah, okay. Or for some reason something happens you should be really excited and happy about, and then you're just not that excited and happy about it. Ladies, you ever done that? Buy a dress or some clothes, you're just like, oh, this is the best thing, and then you get it home, and then you now hate it. You ever had that happen?
Yes.
All right. There's all kinds of stuff we go through in life where we think we want it really bad, we think we really need it really bad, or we should be excited about it really bad, and then just falls through, something falls flat. And so the problem is in our society today and just ourselves, we're just not a content people. How many people do you know are just happy people? Some people are happy, but most people aren't really just super happy, are they? 99% of people, would you say, are happy or not happy?
Not happy.
I don't know.
That's a pretty huge number, right? 90%? 50%? 30%? Right, the sad part of it is, really, in all honesty, there are some happy people and there's happy times, but most of the time we see people and they're just not happy. Everywhere we go, you go to a restaurant, how many of you have been verbally assaulted at Walmart? Just check it. Alright, so you know what I'm talking about. Some people are not physically assaulted at Walmart, right? By the shop, the cart guy, the old guy, that's a scary one, right? You want a sticker? No, take a sticker, right? So, anyway, we deal with these things and we're just not overly content and happy with stuff. And so, well, the problem is God, we know this now already, we talked about it last week, is Jesus Christ gave His life for us, He came to the world for us. So the question is, if He did all these things for us, if He's wiped away the slate, made us clean, how come we are not a content and happy people? How come we're always looking for the next big thing? How come we're always dealing with overt sadness sometimes? And I'm not saying we've got to be like, Jesus, happy, 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 all the time. But I am saying that there's certain processes that take place where we have to have joy and contentment. You're going to loop that, aren't you? Alright, but listen, we have to be excited about things. We have to get to the point where God's going to show us what it's like to be content. And so tonight, that's what I want us to understand, is the idea of contentment. So we don't get mad over the little things. We don't get as upset over the little things. And some ways to do that. And some ways to change your thinking a little bit. Some of you get upset about little things. Anybody ever get upset about little things? Yeah. Like little tiny things. Like if the guy, we'll go back to food just because we just ate a bunch of chili. Ever been in a drive-thru and they didn't give you enough ketchup packets? Yeah.
Enough napkins is what it is.
Not enough napkins? Too many napkins?
People are skateboarding in there.
Yeah, I know. Different things. So listen. So the idea is how we get so angry about stuff, little stuff, and how we can avoid that. So tonight we're going to talk about contentment. We got a scripture up here. If you guys want to take a look at this, it's a little hard to read. It's all right. Philippians 10:4-13. If you have your Bibles, you can turn there. I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you have renewed your concern for me. So basically, Paul's talking about the people at the time were not giving him exactly some support, but somebody they gave support. They were praying for him. They wrote to him, said it. He says, indeed, you have been concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. So he's kind of saying in a nice way, saying, I know you wanted to, but there's not been an opportunity for you to be kind to me, to be merciful to me. And he says, I had an opportunity to show it, and I'm not saying this because I'm in need. So basically, Paul's saying, listen, I'm not really in need right now, but I appreciate what you're doing. Because why? For I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. You guys ever been that? You know what it's like to be in need? You know what it's like to be plenty? Yeah. In college, one time I scrounged through the couch cushions. I came up with enough change, me and my roommates, just enough change to buy one soft taco. We went to Taco Bell, we cut it into fours, and we ate it. You ever been that much in need? All right, it happened, true story. Or have you ever made grilled cheese with an iron? All right, some people, all right, it's right on. All right, it can be done, it's delicious. All right, so, because of me, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. Whatever the circumstances, I've learned to be content. Think about that. Whatever the circumstances. This is coming from a guy who's been bit by a snake, shipwrecked, stoned, beaten up, tossed out on the street, made fun of, harassed, told he was ugly, all kinds of things. I mean, we have a guy here who's been through the ringer and has been a wanted enemy of both sides. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do everything through Him who gives me strength. Now, you guys have heard this scripture before. I can do anything in Him who gives me strength. Through Jesus Christ, I can do anything. Now, the question is, do we really understand that? Because when we get into the idea of plenty and want, we tend to forget. Think about it. The two times that we end up in the biggest trouble with God is when we have too much, when we have too little. Right? Think about it. When we have too much going on, then we just kind of forget about God. When we're all happy and you're just happy in the world, that's usually when God's like, I'm pushing to the side. And when we're in want, when we're the most desperate, that's when we're like, push you, God, save me, help me, all these kind of things. But when we're right in the middle, that seems to be the happy spot with God. When we're right there and we're feeling that groove. God's saying, what if we were content at all times? What if we got to a point of that happy fulfillment of Jesus Christ? And what does that look like for us? And so we're going to look at three things tonight that can bring us to that Paul talks about. And the first one is this, is live in the moment. Live in the moment. Now, a lot of times we think stuff like that, Live in the moment sounds like, oh yeah, we should go party and have a good time and just whatever it takes, woo, jump off of things. No, because you go, was it, live fast, die young, leave a good looking body. You ever heard that? All right, write it down. Anyway, listen. We live in the moment sometimes the wrong way. God's calling us to live, and Paul's calling us to live in a better way, which is each and every day be thankful for where we're at. Because we're always looking forward to the next thing, and we're always debating on how good things were in the past, right? You ever done that? How many of you guys have ever been on a date or with a girlfriend or boyfriend and you think about how much better the next boyfriend or girlfriend is going to be? Some of you have. How many of you have been with a boyfriend or girlfriend and thought about how good the last boyfriend or girlfriend was before this one? Some of you will not raise your hand because you're currently in a relationship with someone in the room. But listen, too many times, guys, we live waiting for the next thing, or we live waiting for what happened in the past. If only things could be as good. And that's just dating, but imagine how it was in your home life. Sometimes you're like, man, it was so good back then, or it was so bad back then, I can't wait for things to change. And when still living in the moment and appreciating kind of what's going on. Now, I'm not saying things have to be perfect, and I'm not saying that things are always good, and I'm not saying we have to appreciate all the negative things. I am saying, though, that we have to learn how to understand the moment. Really learn to experience and enjoy it. Think about this. Most of the time, you're thinking 5 minutes ahead, right? How many of you have ever watched the clock? Just it doesn't move, you're right. Because you're just waiting for the next thing. If I can just get through this day, if I can just get through this week, instead of appreciating the fact that right now, right here, there's something that can be done that God wants us to do. He's calling us to experience it. You know, the question I always ask is, do you even know what you have? How many of you know everything that your cell phone does? Honestly, you've read through the instruction manual and you know everything it does. Alright. More than likely, maybe 2 of you. Have you ever done that? Like been playing with something like your iPod or your phone or something, and you're like, holy smokes, it does that? I had no idea. Right? When we would do stuff like that, we're like, wow. Or how many of you realize you're flipping through the channels and realize you find a channel you didn't even know you had? You ever done that one on TV? Okay. 900 channels and nothing on it, right? Listen, we don't even know. We don't even know what we have sometimes. We're so busy thinking about the next thing, we don't really take the moment to realize what's there. And think about it now, if we can't do that with our electronic equipment or our toys, how much do we not do that with people? How many times have you been friends with someone for 5, 6 years and you don't even know anything about, you don't know their middle name, you don't know where they go to school, or maybe you just go to school with them, but you don't know different things about them. Listen, you don't know, how many, honestly, here's a good question, how many of you know what your parents did before, like the job that they have right now? Look at you. There's too many times we don't even realize, what's even going on in our own home, living in the moment. We don't take the time to ask and get to know. And we just assume everybody knows everything about us. Guys, listen. You have stuff all the time where, hang with me, guys. I know it's one of those moments, but listen. We don't understand all the opportunities we have to reach out to people, get to know them, to experience them. There's a whole thing, you ever heard this old Christian song, Count Your Blessings? Yeah. Count your blessings. Someone else sing it. Name them one by one. I can't sing, so I'm going to kind of talk it out. Count your blessings, see what God has done. How many times do you count your blessings? It sounds really cheeseball, doesn't it? You count your blessings. But think about this. If you spend half the day, as much time we do grumping and griping about things, but actually say, God, I'm really thankful for this today, or this today, or this today. God, I'm thankful that I have this thing. Instead of grumping about, it's so tragic, I got a new Wii game, how sad that I don't like it. I have a Wii, right? That's pretty cool. I got it from 2 years ago for Christmas. That's exciting. Why do we get upset about those things? Why do we not count our real blessings? We're too busy looking at the negative aspect. We're too busy looking at all the bad things that are happening in school instead of the good things. We're too busy thinking all the negative stuff rather than saying, you know what, there's some positive things happening here and I need to focus on those. It's a sad thing when we do these things. We have to learn how to look past that. Live in the moment, really enjoy it. Even right now, instead of thinking about, what we're going to do right after this, live in the moment and enjoy it. You may think, I can't enjoy it, but try it. Be surprised. There's good stuff if you just listen and appreciate the time you're even here at church. Okay, so the first thing is live in the moment. The second thing is this, share the wealth. Share the wealth, meaning that too many times we just hold on to stuff, that idea of contentment, okay, that Paul's talking about, even in the moments of having and not having. A lot of times when we get something, we don't want to let go of it. We don't want to share it. You know what? Think about all the times you've had cookies. You may have like a lot of cookies at different times. Someone asks you for a cookie, what do you tell them?
No.
Get your own cookie, right? Get your own cookie, right? Listen, we do it all the time. We're very greedy and selfish people because we don't want someone to touch it. That's mine. That's mine. That's all I got. Don't you understand? I worked hard for that. I did this for that. I put everything I had into this one thing. Guys, God's calling us to share something beyond what we have. And it can be anything. Sometimes it's just the life situation. Share the wealth of knowledge. Some of you guys have been through stuff no one else has ever been through. Wow. Is that true?
I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah. When's the last time you shared the wealth of knowledge? And that's just basically saying, hey, you know what? I went through this. I see you going down this path. Trust me, it's not worth it.
Don't go to a boys' ranch.
Okay, don't go to a boys' ranch. There's just some wisdom right there. Share the wealth. Right, so listen. Too many times we're holding on to stuff. We're not given the natural instinct that God tells us to, which is to share with one another. Give of your time. You know, have you ever been in a situation, those of you that can drive, where someone asks you if you have jumper cables? And everybody's like, I'm not using that. No. Cody's looking at it because we... But anyway, if you've ever been in that situation, how many people are just like, dude, I got jumper cables, but I don't want to take the time out to jump that person? You ever seen that happen? You see people just kind of look away. You know, hey, can you help me move some chairs? I'll be back in a minute. I got to use the bathroom for 5 hours. You know what I'm saying? We always find excuses to get out of things. We're always looking for ways to not help and share the wealth. Maybe God's giving you a strong body to help out an older person or a hurt person. Maybe God has given you the moment right then and there to share your happiness. You know, because we even hold on to our happiness, don't you? If you're having a good day and Debbie Downer comes up, what do? You totally, you're just like, they come up, you're like, I'm having a great day, like, I just need to talk to somebody. You're like, oh, I'd love to right now, but you know, I got to be happy.
I have to
And you're going to bring me down. You know, and listen, that's the same situation. We've got to learn how to share and give to people. Share the wealth of what's going on in your life. Don't hold on to these things, you know. Understand the experience of true need. Remember, that's what he's talking about. Because if you know what it's like to be in need, then how much more should you be willing to give? Think about all the times you've been down and desperate and you just wish someone would give you something nice, like money for a coat. Or something bigger, like a word of kindness, you know what I'm saying? Just encouragement. Share the wealth during those times. That's part of living in contentment. Say, okay, I'm good at this time, but I want to help you as well. Too many times we just go past those things. And the third thing is this, and this is the last thing, is experience joy. Experience joy. Now that's a hard thing for a lot of us. Very hard thing, because, listen, we were kind of trained to think negative about stuff, right? I mean, when someone asks you if you like something, what's the first thing you say? Yeah, I like it, but, right? There's always a but. I like that, but I didn't really, I thought this could have been better, or that could have been better, or that person could have been nicer. Instead of just being happy and enjoy what's going on, too many times we're trained to think negative. But you remember what it was like when you were a little kid? Nothing mattered back then, man. It was just fun times. My daughter, she's 3, some of you know Ava, she's a sweetheart. One of her new favorite songs she's been doing for a little while is Dancing in My Underwear. It's a great song. She wrote it. So with that, right? She basically runs around in nothing but her underwear, and she says, I'm dancing in my underwear, I'm dancing in my underwear, I'm dancing in my underwear. It's very catchy. You might like it. It'll be on MTV next week. Brittany's doing it. No, I'm just kidding, but anyway, listen. Dancing in my underwear is a happy song. Why? She doesn't care that she's naked. You know, she doesn't even grasp the concept. I'm not telling you all to go home and get naked and sing Dance in My Underwear. What I'm telling you, though, is that she doesn't care. She doesn't care what other people are thinking about her right then. She doesn't care about those things. All she thinks about is, I'm happy. I'm dancing in my underwear. You know? And the thing is, we've lost that. Somewhere along the way, the fruit of the Spirit of joy is kind of what Paul's talking about here, is that even in the moments of desperation, even the moments of sadness, even the moments of hurt, that we should have joy. Because really, it doesn't matter what the world thinks right now. All that matters is what God thinks. I read a book not too long ago, and the guy called it the Doodah Day. And the Doodah Day was basically what his daughter called it. Daddy, I'm having a Doodah Day. Meaning she was happy. She's having the best day of her life. And he said in his book, all he wanted to do was have a Doodah Day. And he couldn't remember the last time it was that he had a Doodah Day. And I was saying to myself, you know what? As I read that, when's the last time I had a Doodah Day? You're all like, right? But the thing is, guys, when's the last time you had that? When's the last time you had a dancing in your underpants day where you're just excited about life? I don't want to know about Holland dancing in your underpants. What I'm saying, though, is that moment where you're just happy and excited. You wake up in the morning, instead of grumbling and getting out of bed, you're just like, man, today's a good day. And you walk in, you brush your teeth, and someone yells at you, your brother, your sister, your mother, your aunt, your uncle, whoever it is, they're like, shut up. And you're just like, you know what? That's cool. I'm going to have a good day. And we walk to school, and we get to school, and the most annoying teacher in the whole wide world is in your class. You're just like, you know what? You're not going to ruin my doo-dah day. I'm going to have a good day. What if we just have that kind of joy that each and everything that we did, you go in the cafeteria, you go to lunch, you actually enjoy the stuff? Listen, God has allowed us and given us a life of joy. Because in all honesty, when you think about all these things, 9 times out of 10, they tend to wash away. Or they tend to work themselves out. Or if you put a little bit of effort into it, you'd be surprised. Now some of you have situations that you can't just have a doo-dah day about. I understand that. But you know what? Even in those moments, there's other things that can bring you joy. There's those moments of escape. There's those moments of getting away. There's those moments when you can just rely on the strength of God and says, it may be terrible right now, but God's going to find a way through it if you just allow Him, if you talk to somebody. You know, a lot of times we can't have a doo-dah day because we're too busy holding it all inside. And it's impossible to, what's the whole thing, it's my party, I can cry if I want to, but it's not much of a party. We just hold it as a one-person party. God's telling us we need to get outside of that and have a day of joy, experience joy, and pursue the happy factor of life. Because guess what? Life is meant to be happy. It's meant to be a joy. Some of you are thinking right now, well then, I understand that. I want to be happy. So the question is, what's keeping you from doing that? What is it that you're holding on to that's saying, I can't quite get there? And it's a spiritual discipline of making a conscious effort to do that. If my discipline is every day I'm going to get up and put on pants, as we're talking about dancing my underpants song, I get up and put on pants every day, right? You just make a choice. I'm going to put on pants every day. Because there's a consequence, if not. The same thing here is there's a consequence if you don't decide to have contentment and joy in your life. There's a consequence to that. What if you started looking for the funny things and the happy things in life instead of the negative things? What if you look for contentment in the moments whenever you're just feeling want and need and say, you know what, I'm just happy for what I have. Instead of thinking about the next big thing. Because the next big thing isn't going to bring you happiness. The next big thing is going to be just one more thing. And so tonight, that's what I want us to wrap it up with and talk about is, just like in that movie clip earlier today, at the very end of it, he keeps going, he gets to the very end, what's he say? Yeah, I can fly. Because there's got to be a moment in your life where you realize that even through all the trials, and even through all the errors of him getting hosed down by the spray and falling down and getting beat up, a true hero has the idea of contentment and the idea of joy that somehow it's going to work out in the long run. Think about it. If you're constantly getting beat down, and let's just use that picture of the hero. You're constantly getting beat down, you're getting tossed on the ground. What makes you get back up again? What makes you say it's okay to go on? What makes you say, or the police officers see the bad thing, or the firefighters, or just the heroes that you have in life that get beat down? What is it? It's the idea of, it's rough right now, but I'm going to work through it. And eventually I'm going to have joy. And I'm going to have some happiness that comes from this if I just persevere. If I just find contentment in life. And that's saying I'm ready where it's at, trusting God in that. And just like Paul said, learn how to do it. So each day I want you guys to start thinking, what can I do to be more content in my life? What can I do to have joy in my life? What can I do to just smile in the face of whenever things are down and on the ground, just say, you know what, it's going to be cool. I got this under control because I got a God that loves me that's big enough to handle it. So let's go ahead and pray, and then we're going to break into our groups. But let's think about that this week. Find moments of contentment. Find moments of living in the moment. Find moments to share your wealth, and ultimately find a doo-dah day. Find a dancing in your underpants moment. And be excited about it. Father God, we